We often bring you stories about house fires here on News Channel 3. Tonight we're taking a deep dive into the reality of what those fires can really mean, how they really impact people as they face all the challenges of rebuilding their lives. And we're doing it through the eyes of one man who watched his house go up in flames and the lessons he learned. We first met Joseph Hearn in August of 2022. He had spent the night watching his home of 43 years burn to the ground in the La Quinta Cove. He's in the shorts and t-shirt, all he had when he escaped the flames. Nearly 2 years later, he says that night was the beginning of a very difficult journey.
This is where your house was?
Yes. Losing everything to start a new life at 79 years old is probably one of the most traumatic things that you can think in your life.
They face small things like getting their driver's licenses replaced.
DMV told me that if I knew my number, they would issue me a driver's license.
Other things like losing pets in the fire will always be with him.
My wife still has nightmares about the pets that we'd have lost. It will take a while.
He still has questions about the cause of the fire. So you think it was the line from IID arcing that started the roof of your home on fire?
I do. I do believe that. Whether I can prove that or not is another story, but I do believe that, yes.
We returned to the scene of the fire where Hearn showed us what he thinks happened.
You know, I came around the house this way. Okay, and there was a water hose here at this particular point.
Yeah.
And I was spraying water up on this side of the house when I seen the power lines down here dancing around, and I thought, well, it's time to go.
I requested the CAL FIRE investigation, which finds the source as electrical arcing. It also finds an extension cord to a travel trailer played an important role, and this diagram shows the power panel as the likely starting point. Do you think that there's anything to that?
No.
Was that extension cord old, or was it?
No. Matter of fact, it was pretty much new, and it was done properly because I had a friend who is an electrician come out, do the work on it, and make sure it was hooked up correctly.
I took Hearn's concerns to Imperial Irrigation District. They responded with this statement. IID does respond, and we disconnect the power so that it's safe for first responders and other customers. IID itself does not investigate the cause of fires. Hearn also has questions because of this.
You had a big lot.
Yeah, it's a double.
Just over a year later, two friends lost their lives directly across the street in a fire also determined to be electrical, but with smoking as a possible factor.
It was heartbreaking because they were very nice people.
Along with lingering questions about the cause, Hearn learned a number of lessons he wants to share. Most importantly, what you found out was you were underinsured.
Yes. Way underinsured. Even if we were insured for the value of the house, which would have been $490,000, we would have still been out $125,000 more.
Initially, they started down the path to rebuild, and the cost started adding up.
We had to go through an EPA report, we had to go through a surveyor's, then we had to have an engineering report to make sure the foundation on the house is done. And then only then and after that could we start applying for permits in the city of La Quinta.
I checked in with local farmers insurance agent Ron Henderson, who recommends everyone double check their policy and know it'll cost more than the value of your home to rebuild it.
This is a big point. Not every home policy is exactly the same. There's a reason why some are a little cheaper and some are a little more expensive. It comes down to coverages. And one of the coverages to look for is additional living expenses. It could only be 12 months. It could be 18 months.
A lesson about insurance that Hearn learned the hard way.
1 in 1,000 houses catch on fire a year. You don't want to be that one house.
He wasn't able to rebuild what had been their dream home, but he is grateful for their current place. They're now working to make their own. It's been a journey, and perhaps the most important lesson is this.
So is it hard to be here?
No. I've given it up. I found out it's just more comfortable to let it go.
The financial services company CoreLogic reports that 64% of homeowners do not have enough insurance for various reasons. Bottom line is, experts say the best thing you can do is revisit your coverages with your agent to make sure you are properly covered in the event of a fire.